Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar. We're just allowing a lot of people to come into the webinar this morning, and we will be starting at the top of the hour. Thanks very much. Hello, everyone. I see that a number of attendees are still trying to get into this webinar. So if you would bear with us, we're just going to give them a few more seconds to join our webinar this morning, starting shortly. Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Michelle, and I'm the head of marketing for AKT Global. Welcome to today. Welcome to our presentation today on reimagining performance management in your organization. Before I begin, just let me let everyone know that everyone is in listen-only mode. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please place them in the questions box that is made available to you in GoToWebinar. So our panelists today, Eitan Bernstein, Managing Partner of the People Advisory Business at AKT Global, Corentin Boutny, who is our HRIS expert in SuccessFactors. Before I pass this webinar to them, let me first introduce AKT to those who are first-time participants. So AKT is one of the largest SAP Cloud People Solutions consultancies in the EMEA region. We have more than 250 certified and experienced consultants all over this region, including France, the UK, Czech Republic, Switzerland, and others. We offer strategy and advisory, systems implementation, and one of the broadest ranges of application management services across the SAP ecosystem, which includes SuccessFactors, SAP Sales Cloud, SAP WorkZone for HR, which has newly been launched, and Qualtrics, of course. So on to today's webinar. Let me first pass this presentation to Eitan Bernstein. Thanks very much. Eitan?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I just want to confirm that you see my screen. You should now. Great. So welcome, everyone. I want to leave a lot of time for you guys to see the system, but I do want to take you through a few thoughts around the emerging trends that we're seeing in performance management and how COVID-19 has impacted that in this last year, a very, very challenging year. I think it's not new to most of you that there are real serious questions in many organizations of whether performance management is actually driving value. This is a research by Gartner that's already a year and a half old, but still shows very clearly what I think most organizations feel today, that performance management is not necessarily achieving its primary objective, whatever each organization has defined around driving business results, around helping people develop, around giving people meaningful feedback, and has not really adopted itself over the years to keep pace with the business needs and the changes. And I think the answers to these questions in the last year, given COVID, have even just become more negative by most organizations. And there's another research by McKinsey showing very, very similar data that don't really feel, most organizations don't really feel that the performance management processes are actually delivering performance to the organization. We asked you, the participants in this webinar, in preparation for it, how do you think that your employees feel in your organization? How do you feel that managers feel? And although there are pretty good results here, many of you feel that the feedback that's provided in your organization is valuable, and that your current processes do provide an opportunity for open dialogue with managers, and that's great. There's still quite a few of you that would really think that employees would really prefer not to do it, and that it is a tick in the box exercise or a bureaucratic idea coming from HR that maybe needs to be changed. And we ask you the same about how managers in your organization feel. And again, here, many of you have very positive results, which is terrific, that you do believe that managers feel that it's a chance for valuable dialogue with employees, and that you think your managers enable this to keep pace with their team. But again, here too, a lot of criticism, or you believe that your managers are very critical about that. Many of them would prefer not to do it. Many of them feel that it's a tick in a box. And many may find that your rating and calibration processes are difficult to do and may sometimes be unfair. And that is very much aligned with what we see in all the other research. So you on this webinar are a representative of many of the organizations that we speak with in the world. And there's no surprise why many organizations feel that the current performance management processes just don't meet what their requirements are. And that's because the timing is not necessarily right. Who says the best time to do evaluations is when we're closing the year and not as part of the daily business? Frequency, many organizations are still doing performance management once or maybe twice a year. And obviously that's not addressing the needs of individuals who are expecting much more frequent feedback. Still, most organizations, or many organizations, have some form of forced distribution, when we know that that's very, very challenging and may not actually be serving the organization. Many organizations still have processes that are very backward oriented, that are looking at the past, while both the organization and individuals are looking for something that can provide much more input into the future, into how to perform forward looking, how to improve my development, and so on. Many organizations are still very much looking at the manager as a single assessor. And we know that in today's complex organizations with different structures, the one direct manager may not be the best person or the right person or the only person to assess an individual. And organizations are spending tons of energy still, in many of them, around calibrating scores. And there's a real question about why that's needed. And not as a surprise, many organizations are reviewing their performance manager, making changes to it. Most of our clients, even those who have done work 2 or 3 or 4 years ago around performance management, are stopping to review what they've done and ask whether it's serving them in the best way. And you can see here in the same Gartner research that most organizations are looking at making changes. But it's not really clear what changes to make. I think many organizations know that what's happening today is not serving them, but haven't really figured out what to do differently. And as you can see, the same research shows that really what they're trying to do is make it simpler and make it less time consuming, but not enough about how to make it more valuable, how to generate more. Making it easier obviously is a good thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can have a really simple and easy process. It doesn't create a lot of value. So how do we actually create more value in this process? We're of the belief that it's not time to kill performance management yet. And there's a great article, it's already 5 years old, by the Harvard Business Review, that says, like in democracy, this may not be ideal, but it's better than other solutions that have been tested. But it's really about designing and executing performance management in the right way, not necessarily adopting ways that were acceptable 5 and 10 and 20 years ago, but really better fitting into what's expected today. And we see a lot of great research. This is a recent research that just came out, and recommend that you view it, that when performance management is done effectively, those organizations that are that think that their performance management is done well, beyond driving performance, we're seeing employee engagement that's higher, a sense of fairness which is improved, more high performers in the organization. So a lot of real important value when this is done right. So if some organization is saying, well, maybe we don't need performance management anymore, we don't recommend taking that approach, but thinking about what actually you do need and how to do that. And when we look at what is really important, we believe that there are a few objectives of performance management that always hold true regardless of how you choose to do them. So one of those is remembering that one of the objectives of performance management is really ensuring that every person that walks in the door every day to your organization, or today is not walking into the door, maybe logging on and sitting down in their home office and working, knows what to work on and is working on the right things and toward the right results. Given that things are changing so rapidly, are you able to ensure that every one of your employees knows what's expected of them, is working on the right things, and so on? So that what we would think about as goal management, but it's really about aligning expectations and defining the results that are needed. Are those always really clear to everyone in the organization? The second thing, which still holds true and is very important, is each person not only working on the right thing, but are they working correctly, professionally, effectively, and efficiently on what they're supposed to be working with? And this is really around, are they getting feedback to be able to do that? Are they improving the way they perform their tasks? So the first is, are they working on the right things? And the second, are they working in the right way and in the most professional way, and continuously improving in the way they're delivering their results? The third objective that continues to be very, very important for most organizations is, do you as an organization know who your best performers are? Do you know who your lowest performers are? Have you identified those people who are of unique target populations because they have specific skills, they're performing in a specific way, they may have high potential and they're learning faster than others? Is our process able to identify those? And that is still an important output that many organizations are looking for in their performance management process. A fourth continues to be, are we really differentiating our compensation and our recognition? It could be financial, but it could be non-financial recognition and reward for people based on their performance. So your tie of pay to performance continues to be important for many organizations. And is your design serving that? And the fifth, which continues to be important, is, are individuals getting provided the right development and growth opportunities, both to be able to achieve their goals today, but also in order to be able to grow into the future needs of the organization and their own development needs. And those five continue to be, regardless of how you design your performance, very important for organizations. We asked you in the survey for this webinar, how do you feel your organization is doing? And the results are pretty high, which is terrific. They're higher than we usually see for most organizations. 70% of you feel that people are working on the right things. A little less that you're able to ensure they're working correctly and you're identifying the people. And even less, a little less than that, that employees are compensated correctly and developing. It's still very, very good results, higher than we see often. So maybe question where you're doing and what you're doing well. But this, I think, is a good exercise to do in your organizations and discuss that. Now, a lot of organizations are searching for new ways to do performance management. And although there hasn't yet emerged one very, very clear way of doing it, there are a few things that we're seeing across organizations as the emerging trends and solutions. So one of them is to much more look at how we're adopting digital world principles, much more frequent, much more candid and transparent, and much more use of peer-to-peer. So this is just some more data. But we know that the younger generation is looking for much more informal, much more frequent real-time micro feedback. And so it's about how to enable that to happen and how to use peer-to-peer feedback. And Corentin will discuss how SuccessFactors supports more types of peer-to-peer feedback. So not just feedback from my direct manager, but feedback from my internal customers, feedback from my peers, feedback from other people I'm working with on an ad hoc basis. How do we collect that and enable that to happen? So all those are very important in designing, redesigning. Another thing is how you leverage technology. And technology is driving the ability to do new things in HR in general, and specifically around performance, that are very important. And obviously, I'm not going to talk about all these different technologies, but I will mention mobile and the importance of ensuring that your users are using mobile and are always connected as part of driving continuous performance and ongoing performance management. When you need to come to find time at your desk in front of your computer to be able to do these types of activities, the chances of engaging in ongoing activities is much, much lower. And Corentin, again, when he demos some of the new functionalities of the system, will put a focus on how mobile can support driving a lot of the new types of behaviors that we believe should be adopted in the new kinds of systems. And the last thing that's really, really important is looking at how we simplify the design, create much, much, much more focus in the way we do our design of our performance management, and consider segmentation. I just want to say a word about this. You know, when we ask our customers, in many cases, what are you trying to achieve out of your performance management processes? Then we get thrown out all these ideas. We want to assess employees, and we want to enforce specific competencies, and we want to engage employees, and we want to identify the development opportunities of people, and we want to align individual goals to business objectives, and more and more and more things. And it's no surprise when you're trying to do so many things that it's almost impossible to achieve them. And then our performance management processes become cumbersome, the forms become long, the approval processes become complex. And what we're trying to offer is to think about much more how you focus on the most critical things you want to achieve. One of the ways to do that is also to consider segmentation. So in other areas of HR, it's very, very natural that we segment our processes. And in performance management, still many organizations have exactly the same performance management processes for senior executives, for salespeople, for R&D people, for manufacturing people. One of the things we want to suggest is that you consider how you segment. Just like there's different programs and compensation for different populations, and there are different programs for learning and development for different populations by level and by function and by unit and by developmental needs, and there are different segments of looking at talent and investing in different talent populations. One of the things we recommend that you consider is looking at how you have a little bit of differentiated, segmented approach to performance management. And so these are some keys to success that a lot of organizations that we're seeing adopting new practices are looking at. I've been asked often in the last few months, you know, how is COVID affecting the way organizations are looking at performance management? So just a couple words on that. So one thing is that obviously, like many other areas relating to COVID and work from home and work from anywhere and work from afar, COVID has actually driven acceleration of adoption of new kinds of performance management. Because with people being further away, less working together, obviously the need to be much more agile, to adopt things faster, and to provide much more ongoing feedback when you don't see people in the hallway. And those conversations are not happening naturally. You actually need to be proactive and thinking about how you ensure that individuals know what they should be working on and are getting feedback and are performing correctly. So obviously COVID in many ways has put the shift on performance away from the traditional once a year or twice a year to much more ongoing dialogue and discussion. And you can see some of the statements and research that has come up in the last few months around this. And this is a great, it's pre-COVID, but I think it just showcases something very, very important. This is a Gallup finding from before COVID, but just showing how critical having ongoing performance is for people working distance. And since we have many more people working 50 or 100% of their time not in the office and much less daily interaction with their managers, this research shows very, very clearly how critical it is, and how it's even more critical when you work from afar, to receive ongoing regular feedback, and not just once a year or twice a year or even once a month, but really on a few times per week, almost on a daily basis, to have regular communication. So the result of this is really around thinking about how we take the annual processes that we have and simplifying and making them more focused on one hand, and on the other hand, how we create ongoing performance, continuous performance management that augments this and fits together. We see most of our clients making a move from the traditional more annual or semi-annual process toward doing more continuous performance, but not really move overnight all the way to the other end of the spectrum. We're seeing and we're recommending to most organizations to actually make a transition through the hybrid model. A hybrid model is where you still have an annual process or a semi-annual process, but start introducing more and more continuous activities, and start building up the culture to enable that to happen. And this is where I'd like to just end with this model that we find is very, very helpful. So we see organizations moving from a more once a year prescriptive process to a much more continuous process on one hand. And on the other hand, moving much more from a process that's really looking at differentiation and scoring and rating, to one that's much more focused on development and coaching. And of course, that transition is a gradual transition that requires a significant cultural change to have a much more open developmental culture, one that has a lot more focus on employee appreciation and a growth mindset. And it also requires us to move from a much more push mode, where HR opens the system, polices the people fill in a form, HR is pushing this within a timeline, to a much more pull mode, where managers and employees are interacting when they need those functions. When an employee says, I need more direction on my goals, or a manager says, I feel you need more feedback so you can improve in your performance. And that's a big, big cultural change to make that transition. So we're seeing organizations move slowly along this path, and the hybrid model is where most of the organizations are today. I'm not going to talk to this slide much because I'm going to let Corentin give you examples. But what we're actually seeing is an emergence in the hybrid model of sort of a building block approach, where there are multiple different aspects that are available in terms of processes and supported by technology and by success factors. And we're encouraging our different clients to consider which of these building blocks they want to offer, which of them are building blocks that are pushed by the organization and told, this is what you do, now we're doing a formal 360, versus which of these are pulled by the managers and employees and said, okay, now we want to use a regular feedback, now we want to set personal goals, and so on. And what we're encouraging you to consider is how you build these building blocks and offer them to the organization to be used when you define in push, and when they want to use, when your users want to use it in pull. I'm going to let Corentin talk about many of these building blocks and demo a lot of the new things that are coming out in SuccessFactors. I will just end with saying just one word around, most organizations are looking at a much focus on growth as part of performance, and less around scoring and being a performance obsessed. And a lot of these ideas are transferring more responsibility to the managers and individuals to think about growth and performance as a positive thing and not as a negative stick and carrot kind of behavior. And with that, I will turn it over, Corentin, to you.
Thanks, Eitan. Over to you, Corentin.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes.
So, let me share my screen. It should be okay now. So hello again, everybody. As Michel was saying at the beginning of this presentation, my name is Corentin, and I'm sure, as you can tell with my wonderful accent, I'm French. I'm talking in Paris right now, and I will be going through all the new things that we have in SuccessFactors. Are quite new and exciting stuff that I want to show you. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to do so. So I wanted to start by going back to that slide that Ethan have shown you. Because there are a lot of things to say about it. And what's really interesting, and Ethan talked about it, is that you can really start the transformation of your company by using some blocks. You have to imagine SuccessFactors as a big toolbox with a lot of tools that you can choose to use. And each of those tools will be used for a specific objective. Using this kind of building blocks approach methodology will enable you to respond exactly to the needs of your company, of your context. Not all tools will be relevant for everybody inside your company. Ethan talked about the importance of differentiating your different processes, and you should really consider that into your building block approach. Everything is going to depend to the personal management styles of your manager, to specific managerial situation, and really it will be based on our experience a 1 to 3 year journey to create a new cultural shift in your company, and you will slowly introduce new building blocks as you're going through your journey. So today, I've chosen to show you 4 tools out of my toolbox in SuccessFactors. And the first one of them will be continuous performance management. So continuous performance management inside SuccessFactors is not exactly new, but it has been so much reworked during 2020 that we can consider this as completely new tool, and it changed everything. So how I like to explain continuous performance management is by describing my own situation when I joined my first company. I was like 20 years old. This company was a software company, a software editor. And the first time in my life that my manager set goals for me, well, I quickly realized that none of those goals were connected to any of my day-to-day activities. And by the end of year 1, I had achieved none of them. So this is a problem, and this is a problematic that continuous performance management can help you resolve. So how does this work exactly? Well, in continuous performance management, you are going to be able to take your goals and transform them, change them into day-to-day activities. So that's very useful and interesting to do. And with the new UI of continuous performance, you can see this kind of agile board. If some of you are familiar with some agile methodology or agile project methodology, this is an agile board. You can find them in software such as Trello or maybe GitLab. And what's nice about those kind of boards is that you can see in one quick glance, in a very graphical representation, how advanced you are on your day-to-day tasks. You can see which of them are complete, which of them are not started, which of them are ongoing, and so on. And you can very quickly see on what I am currently working on. So you can see that I'm currently working on this webinar. I'm currently working on some learning video for the marketing part of our business. And so on and so on. And with this kind of graphical representation, it's very easy to see how advanced am I in my day-to-day work. Maybe you have seen in some kind of developer's office those post-its they put on the wall. This is exactly the same idea, but inside SuccessFactors. And what's great about those day-to-day activities is that when you are going to create them, you will have the ability to connect those to your performance goals or development goals inside SuccessFactors. Most of the times, goals that are set inside SuccessFactors are here for 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. They are big chunks, and you cannot, if you want a proper way to realize them, you need to have a plan. You need to have activities plan in order to achieve your goal. And this is a very nice way to do it using continuous performance. A very nice way to track your activities. Once those activities are done, you have completed your activities, you will have the ability to make an achievement out of an activity. What's nice about achievement is that it's a recap of all the success you had during the year. So it's a concrete milestone that you went through on this year of work. So that's nice because one issue I've met as an employee in most of my organization is that during my annual review at the end of the year, we had no recollection whatsoever on what we did all year long, because it was drawn in this big mass of emails and feedback that I had, but we had no centralized tool to put all of that was done. Continuous performance can really help you with that, and achievement is a very powerful way to, in a graphical manner, show you what you have done toward achieving your goal in your organization. So you have a specific screen inside SuccessFactors to be able to visualize all of your achievements. You can see them break down into years, months, how they are linked to goals, to development goals maybe, and they will be available during your performance review. So it will be completely linked to your performance review inside SuccessFactors. One of the things that I wanted to emphasize and what is new in SuccessFactors is the new UI in goal management. So I'm sure most of you use goal management in SuccessFactors. Maybe your eyebrow is raised right now because it has been completely reworked. So you can see that I'm currently in the goal menu. I'm still in my 2020 goal plan. So goals are still the same, basically. I have a name, a due date, some information about it. But as I was saying earlier, goals are in themselves a big chunks, okay? And if you cannot break them down, there is no way that you are going to achieve those goals. Activities have been completely embedded inside goal management, and you can see that they take a big place in the goal management UI now. You can even create continuous performance activities directly from goal management now. So this is a very nice way to see inside goal management what step you took toward the realization of a goal. So here, for instance, you can see that to reduce my customer complaints, I've created some tutorial video. I'm currently creating tutorial video. I have currently analyzing all our KPIs, and I've completed the update of our current user guides. And you can see what action I'm undertaking or I undertook toward realizing that goal. So that's very powerful and that's very interesting. Another nice functionality in continuous performance is the ability to have some one-on-one with your manager. Okay, so you have all of those activities, but you want to have a discussion with your manager, and we will discuss in a moment how you can have discussion with other individuals than your manager. You can start a meeting, and all you need to for a one-on-one is centralized in one place. So here you can find all the discussion topics. So you will have the ability to add some discussion topics on the fly using your mobile phone. We will talk about it in a moment. You will have a recollection of all of your activities by status. You are able to take some notes that will be saved and that you will be able to find. So this is a very useful feature, a very centralized place where you can one-on-one with your managers. Once you have finished your one-on-one, you can of course save, and you will be able to find all of your meetings history inside the meeting history module. So you will have the record of everything you said with your managers through the year in one centralized place. And lastly, but it's the biggest revolution about continuous performance, and this features changes everything about continuous performance inside SuccessFactors. You now have the ability to create a channel for continuous performance with anybody inside your organization, and that's very powerful. So I'm going to take a minute to discuss this. Before the last release, continuous performance was only happening between managers and employees, and that's it. Now we have the ability to create a channel by clicking the plus button and sending an invitation to anyone inside my organization. It can be a project manager, it can be a mentor, it can be a more experienced colleague of mine, it can be my matrix manager, HR, anyone I wish inside the organization. I can send them an invite, and if they accept, the system will create exactly the same board that with my manager, and I will be able to engage into activities that I will link to my goals, development goals, and have exactly the same functionality. So in that regard, we are able to completely decentralize your continuous performance management. That changes everything, and that's very powerful. It was a feature that was asked of SuccessFactors for a very long time, and I strongly advise you to have a look at how it works exactly, and if you can implement it inside your organization. This is a very, very powerful tool. So that was my first tool. It was continuous performance management. So we saw how we have the ability to take our goals, break them down into small manageable pieces, okay, and create achievements out of those activities. We saw how it was linked to goal management, how we could have meetings and have some performance discussion with anyone inside the organization. The second topic I want to address is deeply linked with continuous performance. It's continuous feedback. And it's a feature in itself inside SuccessFactors that is, of course, deeply linked with continuous performance. But I wanted to address it in a different part because making a feedback is hard. If you never given a feedback to anyone in your life, giving a proper and good feedback is a hard thing to do. But on the other hand, having continuous feedback is one of the big what your employees are really expecting nowadays. We saw some studies that the millennial generation, so 30 to 40 years old, were expecting a lot of feedbacks from their peers, from their manager, as often as weekly or even daily. So how will the tool help you with that? Well, with the new continuous feedback inside SuccessFactors, you of course choose, you can spontaneously give feedback to someone or request feedback from someone that is not you. When you request feedback from someone, you are able to select a specific topic that can be linked to an activity of yours. And you have this template, this framework in order to help the person you are asking feedback from to help give a proper and good feedback. So you have those question templates that of course you can modify to suit your need. So here, for instance, I choose to ask what went well, what did I did good into this performance webinar preparation, what could I improve on, and do you have any other comments for me? So thanks to that template, Zander was able to respond to me. Okay, he was able to tell me that I was very enthusiastic about this project. It's a great success and that I was very organized, but I could have improved on my communication. If I had communicated more, the team would have been able to provide more support and maybe my preparation time would have been shorter. Based on that feedback, I can now take steps to improve myself, and I can choose to link that feedback to a specific activity into continuous performance management. If I link it to an activity by extension, it will be linked to a goal. So you can see how everything's connected and comes together. And I can choose if I want to make this feedback visible to my manager or not. My manager also has the ability to ask some feedback about me. In that case, he will be automatically seeing it. So continuous feedback is a very powerful tool you can choose to activate inside your organization. It should come with a strong change management plan because making a shift to a feedback-based culture is not an easy thing and it's not something that you can achieve in one day. We talked a lot about continuous performance, continuous feedback. I've shown you the new UI on the desktop version, but the best way in my mind to use continuous performance and continuous feedback is by using the mobile app. And if you have not activated yet the mobile features of SuccessFactors and you wish to enable continuous performance and continuous feedback, please consider using the mobile app. because it's the best way to do it. Basically, you are in a meeting, you are talking about something, you want to create a quick activity in your continuous performance plan. On the fly, you just take out your phone, use your app, in the tip of the finger, it is done. Same thing, you are in a meeting, someone has done a very great presentation, you want to provide feedback, you just take out your phone, give a quick feedback, and you have done it in less than a minute. On the other hand, if I need to open my computer, log inside SuccessFactors, go to the continuous performance menu, I need to be much more engaged, and it's a lot harder for me, and you will have less engagement level from your employees. So in my mind, the mobile functionality is the best way to use continuous performance and continuous feedback. The other thing I wanted to make a short focus on is the new UI for the new homepage inside SuccessFactors. So you now have the ability to try it out on your test version of your system if you haven't already. Just to say that in the new UI of the homepage, SuccessFactors emphasize all those small tasks, all those small activities, on-the-fly activities, by making available this quick action menu. As you can see here, it really emphasizes on requesting feedback, viewing activities, recognizing someone, record my time, and all those are on-the-fly activities. So it's really how SuccessFactors is evolving and how they want employees to consume your HR services. The continuous feedback was my second tool. So we have seen how we can use the tool to ask for great feedback, to give some great feedback using a template, how you can use the mobile version to do so. The third tool that I wanted to show you is the mentoring functionality of SuccessFactors. So it's not new, but it's often overlooked. And I think it's connecting pretty well with the new continuous performance management. So you have to imagine the mentoring functionality is basically as a dating app for employees. It's a way to match one employee with a more experienced colleague. And what's interesting with mentoring is that you as an organization get to choose the level of involvement that you want to have as admins. You can choose to create open programs that anybody can enroll in as mentee or as mentor, and let those programs live, and let your employee connect and engage into a performance-based relationship. You can, on the other hand, choose to be much more involved and create some specific program for specific individuals. And Ethan was talking about the importance of doing differentiating your processes based on different population. And you can totally achieve that with mentoring. You can do something very open or very focused, or both at the same time. You can create your mentoring program around specific topics for a very large population or a very specific one. And what mentoring enables you to do is basically to match one employee with a more experienced colleague. So there is a matching algorithm, just like Tinder inside mentoring, and based on competencies, how I answer to some question, my geographical location, and so on, the system will be able to match me with the best possible fit based on those criteria. So as a mentee, I will fill in my profile, answer the question. The system will be able to propose some mentors. Okay, if you are involved as HR, you can have a process of validation before enabling a mentor-mentee relationship. Really, it's up to you. And as a mentor, I can take on 1, 2, 3 mentees at the same time, depending on your configuration, of course. I can manage them directly into the mentoring module of SuccessFactors and create them an activity plan directly from here. But in my mind, the best way to do so, now that we have this new continuous performance management, is once you are matched with a mentee, is to create a continuous performance channel with them and to translate your mentoring relationship into activities that will enable them to work on their performance and their objectives overall. So in my mind, this mentoring with this new continuous performance takes a whole new level, a whole new sense, and you can totally make sense out of it now.
Quentin, we've just lost your sound.
Yeah, I think I've lost sound for a second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So that was my third tool. That was mentoring, a very powerful matching algorithm. So we have seen 3 different tools that you can use to decentralize performance, to make employees responsible of their own performance, to engage not only with their manager, but with some peers, to enable a feedback culture. But opening up those functionality must come with a plan. And in order to make sure that your cultural transformation inside your company is going well, you need some data, you need some feedback as HR. And this is why I want to take a moment to discuss about Qualtrics and about employee experience. Qualtrics has some deep integration with SuccessFactors, okay? And you can use Qualtrics and connect it to your SuccessFactors, and that will enable you to launch some surveys based on employee experience, and you can use them to gather a whole lot of data. It can be to launch 360 reviews about managers to see if they are transitioning correctly to this new way of doing performance. You can use it to measure the engagement level of your employees if they feel comfortable with this new way of managing performance. You can use Qualtrics with a whole lot of objectives behind it, depending on it. And what's nice about it is that with the level of integration you have between SuccessFactors and Qualtrics, you can generate a whole lot of data, organizational data, your employees, and so on. And it will provide you with very strong and valuable data to build KPIs that you will be able to share with not only managers, of course, but with HR, to execs in your company. And this way you will be completely sure by moving forward with your performance transformation plan that you are going in the correct way, and that you are taking the correct step. If not, you will be able to implement some corrective steps. So you should consider Qualtrics if you have this software already, and to connect it with SuccessFactors is a very, very strong tool to measure employee experience. So we have seen 4 different tools out of my toolbox. So the first one was continuous performance management. How can I break down goals into small chunks? How can I engage in a performance-based relationship with anyone inside my organization in order for me to work towards my business goal or development goals? We have seen continuous feedback. How can I use the tool to receive and give relevant feedback based on my day-to-day activities? We have seen how I can match myself as an employee with more experienced colleagues in order to get into a mentor-mentee relationship. And we have seen how you, as HR, can use Qualtrics and connect it to SuccessFactors to gather some data to make sure that your transformation plan is going smoothly. And what's interesting about all of those tools is that you can choose to activate those for a small part of your population or all of your population at once. You can use the permission inside SuccessFactors to maybe test continuous performance. Maybe you can test it on your HR services first to make sure that you get the hang of it and you know exactly how it works before opening it more largely. You can be very precise with permission and your plan to open up those kind of functionality, and that's very interesting. Another great thing with those functionalities that I've shown you is that you don't have to destroy completely your performance process, your current performance processes, in order to activate them. Continuous performance will act as a second layer on top of the first one that you will connect to, and you don't have to change your goal management, your development plan, or your performance form. You will just have it to connect it to new functionalities without having to change everything. And you will be able to get your activities and link them to your goal plan, link the achievement as well. You will be able to gather all of the achievements in performance form in order to make correct performance assessments without having to completely change your current process. So it's a very easy way, a very easy thing to implement, and another layer you can consider. So we have seen quite a few things, and in order to conclude my part, and before taking question, wanted to come back to the benefits of a continuous performance evaluation. And with all of those tools that I've shown you, you are now able to make sure that your employees are working toward their goals. And if your employees succeed at achieving their goals, your company succeeds, basically. You have seen how you can decentralize performance and take off that loads of responsibilities that is on you, HR, or on managers, and you can decentralize performance in order to responsibilize your employee and make them accountable on how they want to perform, with who they want to connect. And you can now enable, with those new tools, a very strong feedback culture inside your company with continuous feedback. You have, yeah, basically that's it. Sorry, lost my word for a second here. So we have seen all of those benefits with only 4 tools. Of course, there are a lot more of them inside SuccessFactors, and I will be happy to discuss them, but we are time limited today. So if you want to take this discussion further, please don't hesitate to contact us. And I think now, Michelle, we can take some questions.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Corentin. Let's see. So, Aiton, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, there you go. Hello. And Corentin, if you're online as well. Oh, fantastic. So, thank you very much again for your presentations. We did receive some questions. I'm just going to address them in the order we received them. So the first one, giving constant feedback is great. I consider CPM as a tool that could be seen as a micromanagement tool. What is your experience on this, Aiton?
Great question. So I think it's really like a lot of other things around how it's performed and not the idea. So is regular ongoing interaction between managers and employees micromanagement? Well, it depends what happens in those interactions. I think one of the things that's great about CPM is that it can be an ongoing platform that replaces an email here, what's up there, a conversation in the hallway, and actually has that collected so that both sides have those notes available, have the feedback available. There's more documentation of it if both sides need it, and not necessarily as a way to start tracking and managing every little type of activity. So it's really around what serves any specific pair of manager and employee. Employees that need more feedback want it more frequently. That's one type of relationship. People that need more direction around what specifically to achieve and what activities they should be focused on. So it's really about another set of tools. CPM is another set of tools in the toolbox for both managers and employees to have those interactions. And it can be abused like a lot of other things, right? Excel can be a micromanagement tool if everyone gets into lots and lots of detail. But that's not what we intend and what SAP or AKT believes should be right about using CPM, but really about how does it enable the much more dialogue, much more communication, much more direction, much more feedback. And if it's not used that way, if it's used in the wrong way, it can definitely go into the evil side of another control tool, which you want to avoid.
Yeah, most certainly. And along that front, we received another question very similar, that in reality, for managers, they avoid having those difficult conversations. And that, that happens in the annual PM process. But with CPM, how can we assist them to overcome that challenge? Because I mean, right now they're prepping for that semi-annual or annual process. We're working towards that. Okay, we're going to have those difficult conversations, but now you're asking them, well, let's have a more continuous conversation. That's a little bit tough for some managers.
So I actually think that for many cases, this is what actually eases those conversations. When there's so much effort and energy around one event, I've been planning this, everyone's expecting it. It's so dramatic. If it's going to be a difficult conversation, because I'm going to, for the first time, dump a whole file of negative feedback or problematic feedback on a person, and I need to prepare for it, and I need to make sure I've documented things that I've collected throughout a half a year or a year, it really makes this annual event a very, very difficult event to happen. we believe that CPM and continuous performance in general is actually what avoids making this annual event such a major situation. If throughout the year you're giving feedback, you're touching here, you're explaining here, you're documenting a certain type of behavior that you're recommending or asking the employee stop doing, if you're doing that, then the annual event, there's no surprises. There's nothing new. It's really about saying, look, we've been talking about this throughout the year. Here, we hear a few examples of things we talked about in June and in August and again in October. We've talked about this and your performance hasn't improved. It makes these micro events much less confrontational. They're much less difficult for the managers to deal with. And as they build up, if there isn't a change in behavior, it actually makes the annual event not a surprise, not a big event that you need to be prepared for, but actually something much more natural that, look, we've been talking about this and talked about it many times. And that's why I think that it actually is not about making multiple of these very complicated events. It's actually easing the manager role by making many little touches. We call them nudges today, right? A lot of little nudges, but then showing that these nudges are working great if there's improvement, or they're not working great if there isn't, and we now need to take bigger steps to make a change in performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and someone, I mean, not a question, but someone also commented to what you were just saying, in that the continuous performance management not only is that one-to-one interaction continuously, but allows us now to check on employees' well-being, which I think is quite important during this pandemic that we continue
Maybe
experience.
Corentin should say something about how continuous performance feeds, even technically and visually, into the annual performance, because when there is documentation, it's not a collection of emails or WhatsApps or notes that I took in my notebook, but is actually been collected. Then I think it makes managers' life much, much easier when there is an annual event to consolidate that picture into a formal review. Maybe Corentin, you want to say a word about that?
Yeah, so yeah, in your performance form, you will be able to find all of your achievements that you got through the year. And based on my experience, because I've been using such tools in my own life as an employee since a few years now, and it changes everything. As Ethan was saying, it's much more easy because you get into the annual performance review, and you know exactly what is going to be said, because it's just the continuity of everything else during the year. So before that, in my previous company, I had to do a lot of preparation on my annual review, take all my emails from the year of what I did, gather all the feedback I got by email, note them down, print them, and so on. And now I have all this in one place, directly in my annual review. I can find all my feedbacks, all my achievements, all activities, all of which I engage not only with my manager, but with anybody inside the organization which just saw that.
Fantastic. Along with the system, Corentin, a couple of questions. In the last release, the enablement of the new CPM version was optional. Is it planned that this becomes a universal in future releases?
SuccessFactors has not communicated on this right now. It is still completely optional. There were gaps on the last version. There were still gaps between the new CPM and the old CPM. Most of those gaps have been filled right now. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't activate this new feature now. It will certainly become mandatory in the future, but as of now, it's still optional.
I see. Okay. And you mentioned mentoring in your presentation, which was fantastic. In particular, that you equivalated it to Tinder, which hopefully people heard and perked their attendance and attention to this webinar. But the question is mentoring available as part of CPM, or is it a separate module?
It is part of the development plan suite of SuccessFactors. So if you have development management, you have mentoring.
Okay. And another question that has come in is, I'd be interested in understanding how easy it is to, in setting up a Qualtrics integration.
Yeah, we would be happy to talk about it with you. It would take a few more minutes, but a bit more than a few minutes, sorry. But we'd be happy to talk about it.
But I know that within SuccessFactors, the integration with Qualtrics and SuccessFactors is paramount. And so already in the half to 2020 release, there were a number of integration points already. And I know in the roadmap, a lot of the new roadmap features for SuccessFactors includes Qualtrics.
Yeah, it does. So I think right now, if I remember correctly, Qualtrics is integrated very well with performance management. So you can launch Qualtrics to gather feedback about the performance process at the end of performance management. You can do so into your recruiting process. You can gather feedbacks from candidates at the end of the recruiting process. One thing that is very weighted by our teams internally is the integration with the LMS that will be coming in 2021 to gather feedback after specific learnings. There are lots of ways that you can integrate SuccessFactors and Qualtrics specifically. So if you have any specific question, I will be happy to address them and we can have a look together.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So we do have, apologies, we do have additional questions that have come in, but I see the time and we need to close this webinar. So if you did ask a question, we were unable to answer it today, we will send you email responses to those shortly after this webinar. Again, thanks Eitan, thanks Corentin for your time. And with that, we hope everyone has a good rest of the day and a great week. Stay healthy, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.